3, Fantasy Alarm TV. I'm your host, Ray Flowers. Thursday, we're talking wide receivers, and the first number is 24, as in the number of targets through 2 weeks for Michael Crabtree of the Raiders. A big number, not something we were expecting in this preseason. Amari Cooper is obviously the number one dog in this offense. He's the most talented receiver they have. But Michael Crabtree has been heavily involved. 14 catches, almost 150 yards, and a touchdown through 2 weeks for the Raiders. Now, if Derek Carr continues to throw the ball 40-plus times a week, Michael Crabtree will be a weekly play in the fantasy game. But Crabtree doesn't look as explosive. If you watch the game film, he's not the player he was 3 or 4 years ago with the Niners. He's a good possession receiver. He clearly is locked into that second role in that offense, and it all comes down to the volume of their passing attack. Again, if Derek Carr is throwing the ball 35, 40, 45 times a week, there's every reasonable expectation that we're looking at 10, maybe more targets going to Michael Crabtree, making him a solid option as a wide receiver 3 in a PPR setup. Second number today is 20. That's the number of targets that have been thrown to Cecil Shorts through 2 weeks. Why is that important? I don't know if you saw the news, you probably did, but DeAndre Hopkins has a concussion. It's uncertain whether he's going to play or not this weekend. Now, the Texans have got, Nate Washington, who's had a good start to the season, but he's old, and he's Nate Washington. They've got Jalen Strong, the rookie, who's still developing. They faced a Tampa Bay team that was burned mercilessly in Week 1, showed up in Week 2 against Tampa Bay. But the fact is, Cecil Shorts, who has caught 10 passes for 91 yards, might be needed more heavily this weekend if DeAndre Hopkins is out. Shorts is obviously nowhere near the talent of Hopkins. He's not the field-stretching option that Hopkins is, but he is a guy that can catch anywhere from 5 to 10 passes if the ball is thrown to him. Might be a sneaky play, especially in DFS in Week 3. And the final number is 17 as the number of targets that have been thrown the way of Andre Johnson through 2 games. And I'm nervous with the Colts veteran star. In Week 1, he looked disinterested. In Week 2, he looked incapable. Now, Dante Moncrief has seen 2 more targets through 2 weeks. And whereas we see 7 catches for 51 yards for Andre Johnson, we see 13 catches, 168 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Dante Moncrief. If Andre Johnson doesn't show up in Week 3, if he doesn't make a statement in Week 3, he's now the third option in that passing attack. In fact, he might already be the third option. Moncrief is younger. He appears to be more talented at this point. He certainly is more explosive and dynamic. Andre Johnson needs to do something big in Week 3 with the Colts. Well, the whole Colts team does. Other than Dante Moncrief, no one has really showed up at this point. That whole offense has to show something in Week 3. There's a lot of nervous people in Indianapolis right now. I'm Ray Flowers. This has been the Big 3 for Fantasy Alarm TV. Don't forget to visit us at fantasyalarm.com for everything you need. We've got snap reports. We've got breakdowns of all the positions for the DFS game. We've also got our free rankings there, fantasyalarm.com.